Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Trauma Uncensored. I'm your host, Brooke Shearer. We've got another great episode for you today, which we will jump into shortly. If you're a regular listener of this podcast, thank you for your continued support. And if this is your first time listening, I'm so glad you found us. This podcast was created as a safe space for community, connection, resources, and support for anyone navigating trauma, grief, mental health, or pain. Here, your experiences are both valid and valued. Your story matters, and it's important to know you are not walking this path alone. It is my hope that each episode helps you feel more connected and reminds you that it is possible to not only live, but to truly thrive after hardship. Trauma Uncensored began as an extension of my own healing journey following immense trauma. The course of my life changed in the fall of 2015 and led to the tragic death of our 9-year-old son, Logan, in 2016 due to a distracted driver whose reckless choice behind the wheel led to the crash. In the time since Logan was taken from us, I have fought for my mental health and for my survival. That fight has led me down an unexpected path of discovery, healing, and recovery. It has given me the tools to sit here today and share these conversations with you. If you're new to the Trauma Uncensored podcast, I invite you to start with episode 1 titled The Crash. In that episode, I share the beginning of my story, which provides important context for the conversations and guest stories that follow. Speaking of guests, we believe our listeners' voices matter deeply, and we welcome those who wish to share their experiences. If interested, click on the submission link in our show notes below, email hello@traumauncensored.com, or reach out through any of our social platforms. Just be sure to include the word guest in your submission. All show information, resources, and links can also be found in the show notes. Be sure to follow us on our social media platforms and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. And if this podcast speaks to you, and I'm sure it will, we would truly appreciate you leaving a review. Before we begin, a quick and important disclaimer. This podcast discusses topics related to grief, loss, trauma, mental health challenges, survival, and more. While I have gained deep personal experience in these areas, I am not a therapist, and this show is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. So stay tuned for another installment of Trauma Uncensored, where, as always, we're healing out loud.
Trauma Uncensored.
Trauma Uncensored.
Trauma Uncensored.
Hello, Trauma Uncensored podcasters. Welcome to episode 45. Today, I have with me my very dear friend, Carolyn. I have known Carolyn, for almost 25 years now, I think. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
I mean, I'm not going to talk about how old that makes me feel, but, it is what it
We
is.
were like 12 when we met.
12? We were 2.
I
Although I would never go back to my 20s.
No.
Don't put me back in my 20s. Don't put me back in my 30s. Have you ever heard the phrase, or have you ever heard people say that the 30s are their best years of their lives?
Nah, that was not my best years of my life.
Okay, because not mine either. I'm like, and I'm still,
No.
I feel like I should amend that to my mid 40s.
I don't know. Wait till you hit your 50s.
Well, but see, I don't know. My life is starting to change and open up in ways that it's never done before. So I'm having some hope. I'm keeping the hope alive that
Okay.
I'm starting to enter into that phase where maybe it's the mid 40s and then on into the 50s. I'm going to hold on to that
Maybe.
because my 30s can
Yeah,
go to
they were
hell.
awful.
They can
They
go
were
to hell.
awful.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm in my I don't give a fuck 50s.
there you go. I mean,
So,
that's awesome.
yeah.
I'm getting there.
You will. You'll get there. I'll teach you. I'll teach you my ways.
We'll all get there. You teach me a lot of ways, that's
Right?
for sure. You do. So I would like to also see if it would be okay if I gave you the nickname throughout the show, Not a Doctor.
Yes.
Not a doctor.
Certified.
So Carolyn,
Certified, not a doctor.
certified, not a doctor. So people, of course, aren't going to understand that just by hearing it, but I know that Carolyn will explain it later in the show because it is one of her biggest pet peeves is to be referred to as not a doctor.
Certified, not a doctor.
Certified, not a doctor. So, Carolyn, I'd like for you to begin by talking to us about your background, what you do for a living. So, for the past 13 years, you've been a paramedic in Indianapolis. And, fortunately for me, being close to you, I feel like I've had almost a firsthand account of kind of what you go through. Obviously, I've never been in your shoes. I haven't seen, I don't live with it daily.
Yeah.
And the runs you've told me about, the stories you've told me about, the traumas you've told me about hold a special place in my heart, not just for those that you come in contact with, but also for you, because I understand a bit about what you carry, what kind of lives inside the brain, lives inside the body. I mean, really, it does.
There's a little bit going on in there.
There's a little bit. Well, and I have to say, and I know this is one of your pet peeves, but I'm going to say it anyway. Thank you for what you do, because
that's the way you can say it.
Thank you.
Don't thank me for my service, because I get paid for what I do. I would not do this shit for free.
There you go. There, so
I
can't.
You
I
can
can't
appreciate what I do for a living.
And I do, because I don't know, I know what I've seen, I know what I've been through, and I can't even begin to imagine any of your experiences, honestly. So please start by telling us about your job. I would love to know how you got into, EMS, because I know you've worked in a few different areas,
right? Not
EMS related, not,
I've done
first
everything.
responder. Yeah, that's all right. You were just finding your calling. You were just
Right?
hanging out, finding your calling.
Well, a funny, like, it's not a firm statistic, but they say, the average person has, 3 to 5 major traumas happen in their life. And, I have had those traumas, most of mine physical with accidents and whatnot. But the average EMS over their span of their career will have over 700 traumas.
Wow.
And it's just weird. So I was in sales for many, many years. When I was growing up, I wanted to be a doctor in Bellevue, New York, in the ER. I don't know where that came from, but that's what I wanted to do. I did get my EMT in 94. Did not really go into EMS at all with that. Did some hospice care, which is awful. God bless you, hospice nurses. Went into sales for many, many years, which is where I met Brooke.
Oh, don't tell people I was in sales.
Right?
I was horrible.
We were so good at it.
You were. I was
No.
not. It was not my cup of tea.
Right. And then my husband and I lived overseas for a while, and I was a vet tech there, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I loved the medicine. It reminded me, why I wanted to go into medicine when I was a little kid. And when we came back, my husband and my mother both begged me not to go back into sales again. They're like, it's too stressful. It's like, because EMS isn't stressful.
Right.
Right. But I really thought about it, and I have been, sadly, on the receiving end of many a backboards, and being taped down to that backboard and being cut out of your car. It's terrifying. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of noises and sounds, and I had some great, EMTs and medics over the years that were able to calm me down. So I know what that's like, being on the other side, because it is terrifying. I'm sure, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really what got me into it. Is, what, if I can help one person get through that trauma of having your head taped down to a backboard and not knowing, people are just moving you and grabbing you and doing all these things to you, then that's kind of where my purpose came about. Everybody's like, I want to help people. It's like, well, I do, but it's, it's not altruistic. Like, I want to help the world, but I have experiences in my life that help me help other people. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
It does. I mean,
okay.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I mean, look what I'm doing.
Right? Exactly.
Right?
Good job, Brooke.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
But yeah, I mean, it's so I started out when we came back from Italy. I got my EMT again, and I worked as a private service for about 3 months before I went into 911. And a private service is a transport service. Like if you have somebody that is non-mobile, they don't have transportation. That ambulance will go and pick them up and take them to doctor's appointments or to dialysis
Mm-hmm.
or back home from the hospital and stuff like that. So that was okay. It got me into assessing patients, talking to patients, lifting and moving patients, which is a huge part of the job. Um, but 911 was really my calling. And I was fortunate enough to be able to get on at a very large 911 service in Indianapolis. And it's been great. I mean, it has its good days, its bad days, it's happy days, it's funny days, it's sad days. It's literally the entire gamut of life experience, if you will, birth to death. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I deal with, literally.
Right. Right. Well,
Yeah.
and I mean, dealing with all of that, I can't begin to fathom how heavy that is for you on a regular basis. And I know that you told me, forgive me if I'm wrong with the series, but Seinfeld, it is,
No,
right?
Sirens.
Siren.
Sirens.
Oh, no, 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 no. That you come home and you deflate.
Oh,
What helps you
yeah,
deflate?
yeah, yeah. No, this started in paramedic school, which is horrible, by the way. I will never go back to paramedic school. I
Well,
love
say
being a
more about
paramedic.
that first.
No,
Say more
my
about that
gosh,
first, because there could be
it's
people
so,
out there listening, maybe who are thinking
don't
about
do
it, and
it.
well,
No,
but
I'm just
I
kidding.
mean, or I shouldn't say but, and
Right,
look at what you're doing for
right,
people too. So I don't want to deter people who
right.
might be interested,
I'm
but
gonna
talk
tell
to
you,
us about the
yeah,
paramedic school.
be prepared for paramedic school. Like you have to be in a good mindset. They have changed it since I went through, which is great. Um, when I went through, I worked full time. I worked my full time job as an EMT, and I'm fortunate enough my company provides paramedic school mostly for free. Um, but so I had to work my full time job, which is 38 to 42 hours a week. Then you have class. You have in person class that you go to twice a week, and then you have to do all of your clinicals. So we have hospital clinicals, we have ambulance clinicals. You have to go to different EMS systems and ride on their ambulance to try and get like their perspective because it is different, rural versus urban. Um, but I literally, for the year I was in paramedic school, I had 4 days off. 4 days
Wow.
off for the whole year. By the time I was done with medic school, like my brain was mushy bananas. Like it was
Hmm.
horrible. Um, but I I needed to come home and just clear my brain from there's so much information that is thrown at you in medic school. It's like medical school like squished into a year. And I always joke, it's like I know a lot. I know a little about a lot of things. I don't know a
Hmm.
lot about much things. So it's kind of a general. How do I keep you alive to get you to the doctor? Um, but I came home and I started watching Big Bang Theory.
That's right. Big
So
Bang Theory.
shout out to Big Bang Theory. And I started on season 1, episode 1. And by the time I got through medical school, I had been through the entire series. And it's just enough to wipe my brain. Like I'm
Hmm.
not thinking about medical math or, med emergencies or traumas or anything. Like it just wipes my brain and it just resets me. And I still do it. If when I come home from work, I come home, I'm either watching HGTV or Big Bang Theory, which is on
Hmm.
Nickelodeon at night, by the way.
Yeah, good to know.
Yeah.
Uh,
um,
we
but
got
I
that
still do
old.
it, right?
If it's on Nick
Uh,
at Night.
right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to this day I still do it. Like come home and I need at least 30 minutes to. I walk in the door, I hug my dog because that's my one guaranteed smile a day, and sit down. I got 30 minutes to just wipe my brain, and then I'm good. Like I don't. I have been able to, fortunately, been able to let that go. Like I try and leave it at the door. Um,
And it's actually, and I do want to get further into this here in a minute because I know a big part of your job, I mean, there are, you have visuals during the day,
Mhm.
you have smells, you have
Smells.
experiences that you bring home. Well, I mean, you've mentioned the smells. I mean, I
Oh,
have
it's bad. Yeah.
the stories that I've heard, and I again, I can't imagine, but I also know that there's a big, we've had discussions before about, not being critical of yourself if something may happen on the field. So I want to get
Yeah.
to all of that because I know there's a lot to unpack in the
Sure.
idea that you are out, in these streets for what, 12, 13 hours at a time.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then you have to come home and you have to be able to get up and go to work the next day and the next day.
Yeah.
So I want to get back to that. But before we do,
Sure.
I am curious, at any point in medic school, did they
Mhm.
ever talk to you about what you could see and provide resources, or have any sort of class that, no, there was
No.
nothing that
No.
prepared you? So basically
Nope.
I mean, it's kind of like, when we talked to John, they just kind of like set you out,
Right.
set you out into into the,
Ether.
chaos,
Yeah.
into the chaos, which is
Yeah, that's
life.
true. That's true.
And that is something that is unfortunate, and, would be a very good topic to explore further.
Right.
Because
Well,
how do we support, right? How do we support people like you
right.
who are out seeing these things and watching people die every day? And I mean, I could again go on about stories I remember you telling me.
Sure.
I just don't
Right.
know.
I have many a story.
Oh, I know you do. I know.
But here, let's. I'm gonna take this a slightly different direction from where I think you're going, but it'll circle back around. So the way our system is set up is fire and EMS are two separate entities. We are not
Mhm.
together. That's just in Indianapolis. All the surrounding counties, their fire does their EMS, and
Mm.
fire does have amazing resources. For mental health and whatnot. And I know John talked about that on his
Mhm.
episode, and they're getting better. But EMS, especially our EMS, like we have peer support, but that's just talking to the people you work with every day, and we do that anyway. That is honestly probably your best support system for EMS. Um, we have tried to um, like I've looked into therapy. I don't necessarily it doesn't my job doesn't hinder my life, thankfully, so I don't feel like it's something I have to have. But I looked into it, and there's one therapist in Indianapolis that specializes in emergency medicine, and of course I sent her an email like, "Hey, maybe I should come in and talk to you." And she's like, "Well, I'm overbooked right now, and I'm not taking any
Mm.
patients." It's like, "Well, okay, thanks." Because going to a regular therapist, when I start, I mean, you've heard my stories. Like I'm going to overwhelm somebody if I start going into, well, this guy's brains was on my
Uh-huh.
pants and my dog was licking it off.
Mhm.
Like they're going to be like, "What are you talking about?"
Well, but
Um,
that's, I mean, to be completely fair though, those stories are what opens up people's eyes to what you're
True.
experiencing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
also creates, that need for change in a situation
Yes.
like this, that there
Yeah.
needs to be something
Yeah.
for you guys that's available.
Right.
And, also let other paramedics know who are out there that may be struggling, they're
Yeah.
not alone, right?
No. No. And like I said, fire's very good at that. Like perfect example. I had a super horrible call. Um, Myself and my partner and our fire crew witnessed a suicide.
Mm.
Horrible, right? Um, we did wind up transporting. Unfortunately, that person did not make it. However, fire got to go home for a mental health day. I had to be
Oh,
back in service in 15 minutes.
wow.
Yeah, I have 15
Wow.
minutes from the time I mark at hospital to the time I have to be back in service. Um, so it's stuff like that really burns people out quickly in my job. It's
Absolutely.
the constant like get back in service. It's like sometimes I need a minute, you
What do you
know.
do in those 15, those
Oh
very long mental health 15
no,
minutes that you're afforded?
that's not even. So literally, we pull into the ambulance bay. We mark at hospital. Now I have to get my patient out of the truck. I have to get them into the ER. Some places you actually have to take an elevator to the emergency room. Some places you have to stop and talk to somebody in triage to find out where you're going to take, like what room or bed you're going to take your patient to. That can take 5-10 minutes itself. Then you have to get the patient to the room. Then you have to get them from your cot onto their bed. Sometimes that's easier said than done. Then you either have to wait for a nurse to show up. You have to give your report. You have to get your patient information. So you have to get the hospital numbers in our computer systems for billing. And then your nurse has to sign the computer. So, I mean, that's 15-20 minutes right there. You don't have time to process that run period at all.
So that includes the 15. I mean, your 15 minutes is included in
from the time I mark
that?
at the hospital to the time I mark back in service. So it's better than it used to be. When I first started, you had to have your report completely typed out and completed, printed off and handed to the nurse within 20 minutes of marking at the hospital. Well, printers jam. There's no paper, the upload isn't working, it's stuff like that. So that's better that it's all electronic now, which makes it does make it a lot easier, but we've also cut 5 minutes out of that.
Man.
So.
Well, and I mean, thank you for sharing all of that, because I know that opens my eyes to the injustice for you guys. I mean, why is there not that support? Why is there...
Honestly,
I'm baffled at the fact that they don't even talk about it. And this is in school. This is what you could see. This is probably, you're going, not even what you could, you're going to see this, and
100%.
you're going to smell it. You're going to experience it, and why is there no support for?
Well,
EMS?
I wouldn't say there's zero support, because when you're going through school, you have your in class and then you have your field training. I am what's called a preceptor. So I am an instructor out on the streets. So I feel like that's my duty as a preceptor to prepare these students for what they're going to see, what they're going to smell, dealing with, aggressive patients or aggressive family, aggressive bystanders, I mean, and stuff like that. So that's why I really enjoy being a preceptor, is giving that knowledge to my students to kind of help them bridge it.
And thank you for doing that.
I love it.
Did you have a preceptor who did the same for you?
I had actually one of my favorite preceptors is now my boss.
Yes.
So, yes.
Right.
So I'm very fortunate. I had some great preceptors along the way, and I had some great partners. Most of the students are current EMTs with us.
Mm-hmm.
So they see it, they're already on the streets. They know, they see what the paramedic sees. I always joke, it's like, once you're an EMT for so long, what the paramedic's going to do. You go to paramedic school to find out why they're doing it.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
So, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, and we'll just caveat into the next one where I always tell my students, like, don't beat yourself up after a run, because you're going to make mistakes. I'm 13 years in. I still make mistakes. I know I'm going to make mistakes.
You mean you're human?
Yeah, 100%. And you could literally tear yourself apart by being, oh man, because hindsight's always 20/20, isn't it? I should have done this, and I should have done this, and I could have done this, and you can't go down that route. It's like you with Logan. Like, you're like, well, if only I'd left 5 minutes later. Like, you can't go down that road, because you will spiral, into
and it has.
It's
taken, I mean, it has taken a tremendous amount of time and work for me to be able to let go of the guilt, right?
Yeah.
The guilt and the shame, and thinking that it was my fault. And that's where the humanistic component comes in, right? We are human. We are going to look at these things and say, I could have prevented.
Right.
And what really helps me in this situation is also, or has allowed me to let go of that guilt and shame, is recognizing that ultimately I was not in control.
No.
Just as you guys are doing everything, possible, and that to do to save these people that you come in contact with. And some are going to make it and some are not going to make it. And, it's the human ego that sits there and goes, but what if, and what if,
Oh
and
yeah.
I should have, and I could have, and this, but you have to try to take that ego and, just turn it off and say, okay, well, ultimately I am not in control. And if you can
Right.
relinquish that control, and this goes out for anybody listening, it makes it a lot easier to walk forward and separate yourself from
100%.
what you're talking
Right.
about. Yeah, for sure.
But a thing that, the other side of that is learn from it. Like if you're
Hmm.
like, man, I should have done this on this run, learn from that. Take that to the next run that happens to turn out like this. Be like, wait a minute, I was going to do this, so do it for the next run.
Hmm.
Don't discard it, but use it as a teaching moment for yourself.
Yeah.
Um,
Well said.
yeah, I mean, if you don't, you're constantly learning as a paramedic. Like medicine is changing constantly. From when I started to where I am, it's vastly different.
Hmm.
Um, so you're constantly learning. I will never know everything. I will never have seen everything, because the second you say that, like, I don't know, a snake pops out of somebody's butt. Like you just can't say like, oh, I've seen
Have
everything.
you really seen a snake pop
You know
out of
what?
someone's butt?
I'll give you a funny. It's not a funny story. It's actually very tragic. A poor patient had a spinal cord injury. Okay, and was paralyzed from the waist down. And this poor person, because of the neurological damage, still had feeling ish like below his waist,
Hmm.
and he was freaking out because he had snakes in his butt, and he kept trying to dig for them. So of course now he's causing damage to his hind end, but he's like, I got snakes in my butt. It's like, I promise you don't. Like, I
Oh,
promise. But yeah. So
that's
no, I have not seen that, but I have heard people
but
say they
yeah,
have snakes in their
but
butt.
that's pretty incredible. That's a whole other
Yeah.
episode of
Yeah,
why that happened.
it was
Hmm.
very sad, because the poor patient was just like was frantic, trying to get, like, truly felt like there were snakes in his butt,
Wow.
trying to dig them out, and it's just like,
Wow.
ugh. So yeah.
So walk me through what a day looks like. So again, you're 12 to 13 hours,
Uh-huh.
right? And
Yep.
I mean, for the listeners, I talk to Carolyn every day, generally every
Right?
day, generally all day throughout the day.
Yeah.
So I'm getting, she'll say, I'll be right back. I've got another run. And,
Yeah.
so I know that it's just a constant movement, obviously not predictable, but
No. No.
what is a generalized day? What does
Yeah,
that look
sure.
like for you?
So I get to my station 15 minutes early. We do our truck checks. You go over the entire truck, make sure everything's stocked for the day, make sure you have gas in the truck. Um, we do like a monitor checks, and we do our glucometer checks and stuff like that. So you just get everything prepared for the day. And then you mark in service. And sometimes you immediately get a run and your day is off and running. And sometimes you'll sit there for hours. That's the one part I love about my job, is that I'm not sitting at a desk all day doing the
Mhm.
same thing. Like, I cannot predict my day. I've had days where I've done one run in 12 hours, and we had a couple of weeks ago, I had 22 patient contacts in 13
Wow.
hours. Like, it
Wow.
was ridiculous. So you can't predict it. And our call volume has gone up exponentially over the years, but we haven't been able to staff or add new trucks in to, my brain's shutting off,
Into rotation.
like, counteract the increase.
Got it.
So we are doing more when I first started on the truck I'm on now, we would do like 5 to 7 runs a day. Like, that was an average day. It was a great day because, you had time, you could watch a movie, you could have lunch, like, but you're not sitting around doing nothing all day. But now, I mean, 12, 15 runs is normal. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot to be just go, 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 like, all day long.
I
So
mean, especially when that averages to over an hour
yeah, yeah,
that and with 15 minutes of,
right.
decompression time. I'm going to just go ahead and quote mark that 15 minutes,
Right.
because how many times do you actually, get to the 15 minutes?
I mean, by the time you get there, get the patient in, sometimes you have to wait 5-10 minutes to find a nurse, because they're busy too. If we're
Mhm.
busy, they're busy. And they may come in with an attitude, it's like, well, I'm so busy. It's like, well, when you're busy, I'm busy. So I don't know what to
Um,
tell you.
and right. Well, and I'm just disenfranchised to hear how unsupported you guys are, especially. I mean, I know I've heard you talk about, EMS being considered the redheaded stepchild
Right.
when it comes to first responders. And I know that that is something that you're very passionate about. And,
Yeah.
you know,
It's you see it more so in Indianapolis with fire and EMS being separate. I'll give you a perfect example. I had so when firefighters go through fire school, they have to become an EMT. So they have an EMT school in the middle of their academy, and part of your EMT schooling, you have to do a ambulance ride out.
mhm.
So we had this fire probie, super nice guy, had nothing to do with him. He was great. And we went to Panda Express. And I went through and got my meal, and my partner went through and got her meal. And then here comes the fire probie. He gets up to the counter and he has an IFD t shirt on, right? And this guy at the counter's like, oh my God, you're a firefighter? And he's like, well, I'm a probie. He's like, I just love firefighters. Like, you guys are so great. Like, I can't believe everything you do every day. And then he's like, you know what? I got your meal. Don't worry about it. Me and
Oh,
my partner
nice.
are like, are you
What?
shitting me right now? Like, you've done nothing. Like,
Oh.
haven't even made it through the academy yet. But it's like, and that's true. Like, I've had several cardiac arrest saves, and not to discount fire because they are amazing. I'm not going to discount them because we need them. Um, but like, we'll get cardiac arrests back, and they'll bring in full catered meals to the firehouse. But I was never called. Like,
Mm.
my name's on that report. Like, I'm the responsible paramedic for that particular person. I'm the one that directed everything to be done and did it. And so that does sting a little bit, especially over the
I
years, that it's like, or you hear the news, it's like, oh, IFD saved somebody. It's like, no, they didn't. Carolyn did, like, but it's kind of a global mentality, if you will. But it does sting a little bit, but especially years in, it's like I work my ass off, and then you're like, oh well, but firefighters are great. It's like they
So
are,
another
but so
so
are
another
we,
thing societally that needs to change
right?
is, I mean, well, but I'm being serious. I mean,
Yeah,
you know, there there is not any reason that you guys should not be held to the same regard,
right. Well,
and
here's
honored
here's
and respected.
here's another one. So my husband is a sheriff's deputy and has been for many many years, and they get life-saving awards for giving people Narcan.
Mm.
Like, they get actual plaque awards for giving somebody Narcan. We've had or doing CPR on somebody, and it's just like, but we're just like, oh well, it's just your job. It's like, well, it's his
Yeah.
job too. Like
Right.
they are trained in CPR and to administer Narcan and dumb stuff like that. But it's just like, it's just like it I guess it's just expected from us. Like, it means a lot for me to save somebody. It truly does. That I do internalize. But I, I don't know where my brain's going on this. Sorry. But
That's
yeah, I
right.
mean, it's it seems like a separate standard. It's like all first responders have a hard job. We all
Mhm.
show up, and there's brains and blood everywhere.
Mhm.
Like, we all have to deal with that. Fire, police, and EMS. And we all kind of need to be appreciated for that. But it's,
Agreed.
yeah, it's just fun.
Uh,
It's just funny that he's like, "Oh, I got a life saving award." It's like, "What'd you do? Push Narcan?" He's like, "Yep." Like, well, good job. Thank you for your
yeah, right.
service, honey.
Yeah, that's right.
Like,
That's right. Well, and speaking of, I mean, speaking of your husband also being a first responder,
mhm.
having two of those in the household has to be challenging at times, I would suspect.
Actually, I think it kind of makes it a little bit easier, um, for several reasons. One, I know if I'm at work and I have a run. I mean, you've been the brunt end of it. Like, I can't answer my phone.
Mhm.
Obviously you don't be on a cardiac arrest and be like,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
know.
they frown upon that.
I know. Can you
But
please put them on hold
yeah,
to answer my text, Carolyn?
a
That would
hundred
be
percent.
awesome. Thanks.
But we both understand that. So I don't panic or get mad or freak out if he doesn't answer me right away on something because he's probably on a run and
Mhm.
vice versa. So that's good because we both understand that. We actually process things very differently. Um, when I come home from work, if he's here, he'll be like, "How was your day?" If I had a horrible day, I'd be like, "It was a really shitty day." And I go and get a snack and I go and sit in front of the television. And he knows if I want to talk about it, I will, which I very rarely do because I like to leave it at the door.
Mhm.
Um, However, he processes it by talking about it. Like he'll come home and give me every detail of his whole day, which is fine because that's how he processes it. And I can, sit there and hold space for that, for his experiences for that day. And I understand what he's seen and he understands what I've seen, so does that make
The
sense?
it does.
Okay.
The episode that was released today about EMDR,
hmm
Alice was actually talking about the processing that the brain goes through
hmm
when it experience or has experiences or comes, into contact with a traumatic event, so
hmm
on and so forth. But she talks about the verbal processing being one
Right.
of those ways. And I mean, in fact, I am a huge verbal processor. I will talk and repeat myself, and that's not always been well received as
But
being a
that's
verbal,
okay.
and that's
That's
exactly it. And
okay.
so
Yeah.
thank you for allowing him that space,
hmm
because for some of us, that is the way that we work through
a hundred
what
percent.
is what has been put in front of us, and that
Right.
is okay. And the fact that you respect that, and he can respect the fact that you are just like, I'm tapping out, I don't want to talk about it,
Yeah.
I need to just turn my brain off, leave all of that at the
I shut my
door.
door on the day and I come home
I mean,
because at the end of the day, it is a job. It's
mhm,
a job, you
mhm.
know. And that's how I don't internalize stuff like some people do because that's my mentality. Now it's a job that I want to do well. Obviously, people's lives are at stake.
Right.
Um, but in my brain, I'm able to shut that door on the day. And now that I'm not saying that there aren't runs that will forever bother me. We'll never get out of EMS without having those 1-2 runs that will stick with you forever.
Mhm.
Um, but you deal with it and I'm able to move on. Like there's very few runs that I have. Actually, there's only 2 runs that I've actually cried at work. Um, and then every now and then I'll come home and cry over a run, but it's rare. Like I've been doing it long enough that I'm able to process it in my own way and move on. But also having the EMS is a very tight knit group. So if I have a run that's like, or we'll do this. So say the truck, one of my friends has a horrible run. We all hear everybody's runs. We all listen to everybody's reports. Um, and if we know like they have a pediatric arrest or there's a horrible trauma or something, um, we just had one of our employees that passed away, and our employees had to work on that employee. You reach out to them, be like, "Hey, are you okay? Do you need to talk?" So everybody is very good at doing that for each other. And if
That's
you go
good.
right, and you don't want to go hang out with a bunch of EMS professionals because all you will hear is story after story after story after story because that's all we do.
I don't
That's all
know.
we got.
Some of the ones that I've heard, some of the ones that you've told me about are just fascinating. I mean, you don't think in my life. I mean, I've seen, obviously one majorly tragic
Right?
event, but
Yeah.
my brain still doesn't think about the things actually being a thing that you've
Yeah.
told me about. And
Yeah.
it's good though that you guys have built that community,
hmm
community for every single person, regardless of who you are, regardless of what you're going through, or may not even be going through. Community is huge.
Yeah.
Without community, I really believe that people can lose their way.
Oh,
And
sure.
community is so important, especially with you guys who don't have a lot of support,
Right.
around your profession. And it's interesting when you were talking earlier about that therapist. First of all, the fact that you said there's only one therapist in Indianapolis that specializes, that did not surprise me.
Right.
Second of all, the fact that there are like just barely any resources at all in Indianapolis. That's one of the primary reasons we actually moved down to Middle Tennessee, is because Nashville is a mecca for resources. I mean, I have been
Indianapolis
so
is
grateful.
horrible
It
for
it
mental
is.
health.
It is.
Absolutely horrible.
When we lived there,
Horrible.
we tried, and we did work with this wonderful lady named Cindy McAtee. She's phenomenal. Love her to death. But I remember after Jordan got home from residential trauma, trying to find a specialist in this certain areas that he did so well with while he was in
Right.
residential was impossible. It was just absolutely impossible. And once you go through residential trauma and your eyes are open to the different modalities, the healing modalities and ways to process your trauma, coming back to a place that doesn't support that is basically like saying, okay, well, we just, put a Band-Aid on for a hot minute
Right.
and then we're going to go back to our life.
Right.
Right. And that is another thing about Indianapolis that I really, and, the profession in general, that I wish people would really advocate for is
Right.
more support. You
I-
shouldn't
I-
have to move out of your
Right.
state or your
I-
home
I
into a
will
different
say,
state.
So the sheriff's department that my husband's on, we don't work in the same county. That's one
Mhm.
thing. One thing I will never do is work in the same county as him, because God forbid I go on enough of our own police officers that I'm friends with. I don't want to go on my husband, even though he got in an accident or almost got shot in my area. So
Ugh,
don't do that. He
Patrick,
got yelled at.
Patrick.
He got yelled at
Uh-huh.
very
Mhm.
strongly for that one.
Mhm.
But they have done a great job of supporting the mental health for the sheriff's department, and I think it's fantastic. They have EMDR. They have, I don't know what the neuro thing's called, but there's some certain neuro thing that they've just started and rolled out and offering to all their deputies. They have specific counselors and therapists that specialize in that, and that's all they do are Hamilton County law enforcement officers. So they do specialize in that, and they hear everything from every side. So I think that's great, but I think that needs to be expanded further.
Absolutely. And I've had the honor of sitting with Patrick and listening to him talk about his EMDR sessions, and
Yeah.
and to actually hear it from that perspective. And it sounds like he's he's working with a very well trained person.
Yes.
Because I on an outsider's view, I know some of the things that Patrick has lived through. You've talked about him, and he's expressed some of his experiences, and and it's again funny that the episode that was released today is about EMDR and all of those modalities, and why
Right.
it's such a beneficial therapy.
Right.
And yes, absolutely expanding that, that's what you need to do in your free time. You need to start, or you could just move down to Tennessee and you guys have got it. You just move next door to me. That's what I'm waiting for.
Hey, I can be hired as a paramedic. That's all I'm saying.
I know, right? Right. So now we just got to talk your husband into it, but the
Right.
girls,
He can be a
listen,
gardener.
that would be fine too. That would be-
Make him pick up dog poop all day.
I don't know that he would enjoy that, but my kids won't do it, so
Right.
someone's got to.
Just run it over with the lawnmower. It's fine.
Sometimes that happens. Sometimes that definitely
It's
happens.
fertilizer.
Yeah, it is, right?
Just spreads it.
Funny how we get off course so
Right.
easily. There are a couple areas I definitely want to get to
Sure.
before the show is over. The first one is I know you're very passionate about certain pet peeves
Mm-hmm.
for first responders or first
Yep.
responder pet peeves. Tell us some of those.
Okay. The biggest one is, what's the worst thing you've seen? It's like, you
Mm.
don't want to know the worst thing. Do you want
Mhm.
somebody describing Logan to everybody? Like, no.
Mhm.
like, you don't want to know the worst thing I've seen. If you truly want to ask them, so what's the funniest thing you've seen? Because there's
What is the funniest thing
right.
you've seen?
Well,
I'm curious.
I'll tell you the latest, and some of the funniest is sad. So I will throw that out there. We have very skewed sense of humors in EMS, and you have to, otherwise you'll go crazy. But we had a poor lady that was a crack addict, and she wanted to go back to the hospital. She had been to a different hospital the week prior, and she knows that she's pregnant. Right in her brain, she knows she's pregnant, and the hospital told her she's not pregnant.
Oh.
So she's wanting to go back to a different hospital so they can tell her she's pregnant. And I'm like, okay. And I was up front, but I could hear the conversation. And my EMT was like, they got to talking on drugs. And she's like, yeah, I use crack every day. And she's like, well, if the hospital tells you that you're not pregnant, will you believe them? And she's like, yeah, I will. Like, okay. And she's like, but if they tell you you are pregnant, are you going to stop doing crack? And she's like, no.
Oh,
and she's
wonderful.
like, right. And I was like, what? And she says, because it makes the baby smarter. And she's like, excuse. She's like, I don't think that's how it works. She's like, oh, I researched it. Crack makes unborn babies smarter. And I was and she was a paramedic student, actually. And so I wrote on her paperwork, it's like, you really need to do more research about the effects of crack on unborn babies.
She was a paramedic student?
Yeah.
Wow.
So at the beginning of your paramedic school, you have to do what's called BLS team leads, which is like a non-emergent team lead. So she was doing the team lead as a paramedic student, but EMT. But it was just funny. It was like, so on her paperwork, I was like, you need to do better at researching the effects of crack on unborn babies.
Interesting.
Apparently you're just stupid because she did the work. But
wow.
Yeah, we've had.
And I wonder how many people are out there right now going, does crack make unborn babies smarter? Dear Dr.
Not.
Google.
It does not.
I know.
But yeah, I mean, stuff like that. We had a woman one time that she's schizophrenic, and she just kept the whole way to the hospital. She's like, this battery in my shoes driving me crazy. This battery in my shoes driving me crazy. That's all she would say. And I'm like, okay, like, we'll have the doctor take a look at that, right? Because she's clearly going through something. And halfway to the hospital, I was not expecting this. I should have, but I didn't. She takes off her shoe and pulls out a 9-volt battery from underneath her foot. And I was like, sweetheart, why you got a 9-volt battery in your shoe? And she looks at me like I am the dumbest person on the planet. She's like, my electrolytes were low. And it's like, oh, maybe try a AAA next time and not a 9-volt. Like
my electrolytes were low.
Duh.
That's fun.
I mean, it's just stuff
God
like that. That's absolutely hilarious. So, but it's also sad because she's schizophrenic and she needs mental health, which we don't have.
That's what I was going to say. It's an unfortunate way of having a funny moment.
Right. I mean, some of the things that are said are just. We had a guy on meth, and we wound up having to tie him to the cot because he was like super handsy and punchy, but he was actually really funny. And then he says, you know what I'm gonna do? I was like, what? He's like, I'm gonna get a car and I'm gonna drive it to the moon, and then
awesome.
I'm gonna get a jar of Jif, and then I'm gonna get some Chardonnay, and then I'm gonna rock out with my cock out on the moon. And I was like, okay, like it sounds like a good night.
Fun. Wow.
I was like, okay. And he was serious too. He's like, that's what I'm going to do.
I mean,
okay.
I believe it. Kids, don't do drugs.
Peanut butter and Chardonnay. Yeah, don't do drugs, kids.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of don't do's, I do know that there is a really important message that you specifically want to, out of your experience, make people aware about. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes. Do not co-sleep with your children. I will probably say 80%, a solid 80% of my pediatric cardiac arrests that I have been on is co-sleeping with your child. Like, I get it. You're getting up in the middle of the night. You're tired. You don't want to, worst case scenario. And sadly, a lot of it is lower income families. Like, they don't have a bassinet or they don't have a crib. And it's like, that's okay. Put a blanket on the floor, put the kid on the floor. Like, don't sleep with that baby. Because especially like the younger ones, don't have the same reflex to lift up their head to breathe. So when they're like suffocating, like they just suffocate. They don't have that reflex yet to try and breathe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And it's such a preventable death. Like it breaks my heart every time I see a co-sleeping death. It's like, it's so preventable. Like it's the most preventable death if you can think about it, because it's so easy. Like just put the baby somewhere where, nobody's going to step on it. The dog's not going to get it. You're not going to roll over on it. Like put the baby by itself. And it's that one that one tears at you after a while. That you see so many, it's like, stop sleeping with your kids.
I mean,
please.
and that's a huge fear anyway with parents is them, these infants that can't roll over or, can't support themselves. And I mean, SIDS is a huge thing in and of itself. And so it's, and
I wonder how many SIDS cases are actually co-sleeping. Does that make sense? I mean,
that is.
I mean, I could be wrong, but that's just where my brain goes.
But it's still good food for thought.
Absolutely. Don't
what
sleep
are some,
with your babies.
That's right. So there's number one, don't sleep with your babies.
Two,
what else?
Pull to the right.
Keep going.
When we're driving down the road, do not slam on your brakes. I cannot stop as quick as you can. Do not swerve to the left. Do not swerve into oncoming traffic. Pull to the right, just like the law says. In every country I've ever been in, it's always pull to the right. Unless you're in England and Ireland, you pull to the left. Like, just assume I'm going left, so pull to the right. Don't panic. Don't slam on your brakes. Don't flip me off because I may be going to your grandma. We get flipped off so many times, and it's like, you don't know where I'm going. Like, you don't know what, I could be going on a baby that was just shot. Like, get out of my way, So yeah, that drives me absolutely.
Yeah, that seems like it would be.
And the thank you for your service. Like, just be like, you know what? I appreciate what you do for a living. There's a great way to get around it. So those are my big bugaboos. And what's the worst thing you've seen? So yeah.
Well,
but now I tell
the worst
people,
thing you've seen.
Right. Well, I mean, what I tell people now when they ask me that is bed bugs. That is the worst thing I could see. I'm so terrified of bringing home bed bugs. Oh,
that's right. Yeah. Well, and teeth. You're terrified of teeth.
I hate teeth. That's a personal bugaboo. I don't. Every paramedic and EMT has their one thing like that they can't. And I see a little kid wiggle a tooth, I am done for. I can't handle it.
It was fun. It's fun when you're around and Mila's got teeth that are loose and she just wants to show you.
Nope.
She's got another one loose.
Nope.
You better come down and see
Hard
it
pass.
soon.
Hard pass. I don't know what it is. I hate teeth and feet. Feet are disgusting.
Well, you probably see a lot of feet in your job.
Well, especially as we're pulling the cot out. It's feet first. I had somebody that had hawk feet, which are nails longer than this.
Oh. And
he panicked and he kicked and cut me from here to here with his 3-inch toenail, and I was just like.
So for those who aren't able to watch, that's basically chin to upper forehead.
Ugh.
Yeah. Did you sanitize yourself a lot?
Yes, there was pure alcohol wiped on my face.
You know, it's interesting. Speaking of, you've told me in the past that your immune system, thanks to this job, you believe, your immune system has become 100%. Amazingly robust.
Yeah. I mean, you figure, especially during COVID, I never got COVID from a patient ever. I got it from my husband twice. They got it in an airplane from Florida. And then once from my EMT partner who got it from his wife who works at Walmart. So yeah, I never once got COVID from a patient. The only thing I've ever gotten from a patient was C. diff, and I highly do not recommend. Ooh. That was the worst week of my life.
Well, I mean, you have to be exposed to all of that.
We are.
Basically hospital germy type stuff all the time.
Yeah, and I rarely get sick anymore, very rarely get sick, we do get our flu shots, but whether they work or not, that's a crapshoot every year because they just guess whatever strand's going to be coming around that year. But
does the department provide those for you?
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
At least they're providing something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
You can get. We're no longer required to get COVID shots, but we were initially, or you would get fired.
Mm.
Um, but you have to have a flu shot every year unless you're exempt for medical reasons. We no longer have to get COVID, but they do offer it. You can get hepatitis shots if you want. If we do get exposed to HIV or stuff like that, there are resources for that. Like we have an occupational health that can, put you on antibiotics or put you on antivirals and stuff like that. So, but you try and minimize that because that's no fun.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Well, and I mean, I can't imagine how much of that you're exposed to on a regular
A lot,
basis.
a lot.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of fluid in my job
And smells.
and smells. The
And
smells are the
smells.
worst. Ugh. Yeah.
I don't even want
You
to
don't want to.
imagine.
I can look at somebody walking down the street, one, tell what their house smells like, and two, tell you what they smell like.
Oof.
Yeah. And if you
That's
could
what
smell
you
their house from the street,
Oh.
ugh,
Have you had experiences where you could smell their house from the street?
1,000%. 1,000%. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And I work in a fancy part of town with all the big houses, and you'd be shocked how many of like the multi-million-dollar houses are hoarder houses that are covered in cat, dog, and human feces and
Really?
pee, and it's disgusting.
See, the things that I
Yeah.
learn. I love this podcast
So
has been
gross.
so fascinating. Well, just because of how much I continue to learn. Everybody
Yeah.
brings, their own stories to the table and, their own specialties. And I feel like my vocabulary for life just continues to get
Right?
bigger and bigger and bigger all the time.
There you
Now
go.
I can add that
Smells.
houses can smell
Oh,
on the street.
yeah. And
Hmm.
there's and like you do have PTSD a little bit. Like there's places where I can't go eat again. Like there's a popular hibachi place, will remain unnamed, that somebody projectile vomited onto that griddle, and
Oh,
I can't even walk in there. It's like,
wait, you were on a run when that happened?
yeah, yeah. This poor patient had a medical emergency and projectile vomited onto the hibachi grill
Wow.
and cooked said vomit. It was yeah.
Okay, cooked vomit. We're going to add that one too.
Hard. I can never go to that restaurant. I won't tell you because it's not fair to the restaurant. But
Right.
it was
Right.
horrific. But yeah, there's several places like that I can't eat at. I won't walk into houses that I drive by that I'm like, nope.
Mm.
So
I'm sorry. That's
it's fair.
definitely
It's part of the job.
part of I mean, it's part of the job, yes. And, that's things that fortunately for most of us we don't have to live with. So again,
Right.
thank you for what you do. I'm serious. Thank you because listen, I obviously understand what it's like to be on the other side of the EMS,
It's
the first
scary.
responder, and
Yeah.
it is. And I will tell you that my biggest heroes in life thus far have been the people who helped us on the scene of the crash and those nurses in the hospital. I mean,
Good.
they were all our angels. And, I'm sorry that your department doesn't give you the resources that you need because you guys deserve it. And it is very well deserved. And I'm sorry for the experiences that you have lived through and will continue to live through.
Yeah. I
And
wouldn't say
it
sorry
takes,
for that though, because
okay, good.
yeah. I don't look at it
It's part
as
of it.
like, woe is me. It's part of the job, and
Yep.
this job is not for everybody.
And that's what I was going to say. It takes a very
Yeah.
special person to be able to put themselves out there knowing what they're going to see.
Yeah.
Before we go, talk to me or tell our listeners, you came down last fall and we sat and watched,
Code 3.
Code 3.
Yep.
If people, you say that is the best movie out there, that is the most relatable to your
100%.
profession.
100%. And I got to give it to Rainn Wilson? Like he has become a huge advocate for EMS, which is
good.
fantastic. He has
Good.
a voice that can get out there a lot louder than mine. But yes, I mean, it shows the funny side, the scary side, the sad side, the burnout side, because burnout is real. The only thing they got wrong is everybody pulls to the right when they're running emergent. I was like, that's wrong. That's wrong. Because
It doesn't happen like
no,
that.
you watch so many like movies and stuff. And like I can't watch a lot of like medical movies because it just drives me crazy the whole time. I'm like, that's dumb. You wouldn't do that, like that's not real. Or you see people like shock a flatline. It's like, no, like that's not what you shock, and stuff like that drives you crazy. But it is. I have been in almost every single scenario in that movie, and it happens to every single one of us every day across the country. And so I got to give it to Rainn Wilson for one, giving justice to paramedics. And then if you watch the movie, like he's like, I'm burnt out, I'm leaving, and he goes to like a desk job, and he's like, I can't do this. Like I don't think I could leave here and go to a desk job. I just couldn't. And he winds up coming back to EMS. Spoiler alert. But
it is a fantastic movie,
right?
though. It is a fantastic movie.
It shows
really
literally all sides. It shows them getting shot at. It shows a child dying. Like it shows all the things, and it's funny and sad, and it's a great movie. So I got to give huge props to them, except for the driving.
Except for the driving.
Yeah.
Well, it
like everybody's just like, ooh, it's like, that doesn't happen.
Lastly, isn't that where the phrase "not a doctor" came from? Or did you hear that?
No.
Well,
no.
I mean, you've heard that before, and that's what they say in the movie.
No, they do say it in the movie, which is funny because I have said it for years, for literally years. Because somebody will be like ask medical advice or what have you, and I'll be like, oh, you should try doing this, and and they're like, thanks, doc, and it's like, certified not a doctor,
Certified not a doctor.
And so it just kept going as a joke. And it's my license plate as well, which is hilarious. And then the movie came out, and I was like, there it is.
There it is.
So, and you do have, and it shows asshole doctors. They're 99% of the doctors out there are fantastic, but there are that 1%ers that are just assholes, and they treat you like shit. And they're like, you're just a stupid paramedic. You don't know what you're talking about. And it's like, okay.
I'm sorry.
I mean, it happened. Well, it's funny when it's justified and they realize what you said the whole time was true. So,
That's right.
It's almost like I told you that.
I know.
So,
well, I mean,
it's out there. It's out there in every profession. There are good and bad people in every single profession. Most are good, thankfully, but there are those few out there. And the movie shows that. It shows an asshole doctor that's like, you're not a doctor. It's like, you're right. Not a doctor. You are. Yeah, figure it out.
You are. That's right. Before we go, is there anything that we've missed that we didn't cover that you'd like to talk about? Your experience or
I don't know.
We covered the whole gamut.
I know.
The entire
I don't
gamut.
like birth.
That's right.
I've delivered 5 babies, and if I never do it again, I'm okay with that. I will do it, but I don't like it.
And I have made hats for Carolyn to keep in her truck with her, just in case
for newborns.
It happens. And
it's your first gift. It's your first gift. Think about that.
I know.
Mom gave you life. Carolyn gave you a hat. Actually,
Brooke
gave you a hat.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was the one that made it. But yes, you are. I made it for you to be able to put on.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. It's
tiny,
great. Yep. Yeah. I mean, it is the little things like well, I'll give you one final example. I had a woman that broke her collarbone. Okay. And for her, it was super traumatic. For me, it's like, hey, you're going to be just fine. Right. Like, I know it hurts. Here's some medicine. And we'll get to the hospital. But she was panicking the whole way to the hospital, freaking. And all I did was hold her hand. And that's all she needed. And sometimes that's all people need is comfort. And she wrote me this big, long, like, oh, you did such, you kept me calm and your calm demeanor and da-da-da-da-da. And I was just like, okay, like, and you don't think about that. But, sometimes all it is holding a hand.
Yeah, absolutely. Let that be the phrase.
Right?
Let that be the
hold
phrase. Yeah, just hold a hand.
Yeah, sometimes that's the best medicine you can give is just be compassionate and hold their hand.
Yep, I love it. That's so wonderful to wrap this up. Hold a hand.
Hold a hand.
Well, because I feel like that's the one thing that's truly missing in this world is people
Yeah.
unable to
Compassion.
just and hold someone else's hand who needs it,
It
you know,
helps.
or allow some people don't allow their hands, someone to hold their hand.
And that's okay. I'm one of those people. Don't touch me. I'll
Well,
touch
I
other
mean,
people, just don't touch
uh-huh.
me.
hmm Noted. Noted. Teeth and hand holding.
It's not
Noted.
reciprocal.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Carolyn, it has been awesome having you. Thank you so much
Thanks.
for this perspective. I can't wait. I can't wait to get you and John together. That's coming. That's
You're gonna
coming
hear
at the end of
stories.
March.
That's
I
what
know.
happens.
I think it's going to be an amazing episode to have you and John on together.
Sure.
And I mean, we've heard John's, perspective. We've heard your perspective, and then to bring you two together
Sure.
and hear you guys, help lay out the land of the differences and similarities
Yeah.
and just shared experiences.
Yeah.
So it'll be
Yep.
good.
Yeah,
All right. Thank
thanks.
you. Thank you so much. And
Thanks for having me.
oh, absolutely. Anytime. All right. That has been another episode of Trauma Uncensored. Until next time. Bye.